ago that we've been waiting for over 30 minutes for them to come.
They called 911 for help time after time after time. So why did it take deputies more than a half hour to show up at a daycare center full of children? The Contact 5 investigators have been uncovering 911 dispatcher problems.
Tonight, they're learning new details about a recent high-profile case that has parents concerned.
911 emergency.
A man walked into this daycare.
This guy's trying to get in every door.
God told him he's here to take the children.
We're going to get somebody right there, okay?
But they didn't.
I mean, that's enough to scare me.
We know how it ended, peacefully. The children, including Melissa Kaplan's son, are all right.
They're like, everything's okay now. But it's not okay.
But the Contact 5 investigators went back to the beginning to uncover what really happened.
How long did it take for the police to show up?
It took the police 40 minutes to get there.
We asked the Palm Beach County Sheriff's Office why it took 40 minutes to get there this morning. They told us it was shift change.
Why were parents led to believe that this was a shift change problem when it really comes down to a dispatch problem?
I don't think it was a, so to speak, dispatch problem. I think it was a lack of communications.
It took call
911, police or paramedics.
after call
911 emergency.
for deputies to show up.
We did call 30 minutes ago that we've been waiting for over 30 minutes for them to come.
I was just shaking. I was just so afraid that something bad had happened.
We talked to 911 communications manager Robin Schmidt about the delayed response.
Why wasn't it dispatched right away? You said it was being monitored.
It was not, the subject was not armed.
Well, you didn't think he was armed. He could have been armed.
Well, he had a cup of coffee.
We know that now. But
No,
at the time,
at
he
the
could have
ti-
been armed. He said
At the
God
time
sent
we
him
knew
there.
it was a cup of coffee.
Schmidt says it wasn't a dangerous situation.
Yes, you saw that somebody sent me from God.
God told him to come here.
There wasn't somebody being threatened.
Like I said, the fathers have them confronted.
There wasn't any immediate danger.
He's getting confrontational.
It didn't escalate until the verbal altercation took place, at which time it was immediately dispatched.
That was 24 minutes later.
So the dispatcher knew what was going on, but the deputies in the field had no idea.
That's correct, because they haven't been given that information over the radio yet.
Especially after what happened in Newtown, how come I don't understand what was happening?
The dispatcher and his supervisor were disciplined.
The dispatcher should have been a little bit more timely in dispatching the call. They also have been reprimanded for that.
What does that mean?
Written reprimand.
I'm concerned for my safety and my kids' safety. Like, is it next time we call the police, is it going to take them that long?
And what do you have to say to parents who worry the next time they have to call 911?
I would say let's listen to the other 2,000 calls and see what a great job they did. I don't really think they have to worry about that.
Personnel records show the dispatcher in this case was also involved in an incident a week later. He waited 21 minutes before sending deputies to a fight. Both of those calls got him the written reprimand. Kelly and Michael, deputies eventually did arrest the man who was trying to get into the daycare center. He was taken to a mental health facility.
If you travel in and out of West Palm Beach with any regularity, you may have seen it last month. 893 tiny flags stuck in the ground along Australian Avenue. They were standing up for victims of rape. 893 of them in Palm Beach County last year alone. Tonight, one victim's story of triumph.
She is a local mom changing laws in Washington for rape victims. It is a tale of survival that will never leave you and a fight for others that will inspire you. Here's News Channel 5's Shannon Cake.
To see her in action, Julie Weil looks like an everyday mom. Her life story, though, is far more complicated. Her world as a busy mother of two shattered 11 years ago.
It was completely devastating. It was very brutal.
It's a story that's so alarming, even Washington lawmakers who agree on virtually nothing stop everything to listen.
I'm a mom from Jupiter, and I was sitting down with, congressional staff in the Senate and in the House and trying to get people to understand, telling my story over and over and over again.
This petite mom with a 1,000-kilowatt smile has been to the depths of darkness, enduring hours of abuse while her children, ages 3 and 8 months at the time, were forced to watch.
He told you
Yes.
he was looking for a woman with children.
With children, because it makes you the perfect hostage. No mother is going to leave her child under any circumstances for anything.
Julie's torture began here. It was just after noon in October 2002. She pulled into her church parking lot with her son. Preschool was letting out for her daughter.
So we're kind of dawdling out to our car. I buckled my son into his car seat. My daughter was in the very back of our van, and she was playing around. And I was talking to a girlfriend of mine, and then as soon as she drove away, within a split second, a man rushed me from behind, hit me over the head with what felt like a brick. My daughter started screaming and tried to jump out of the van. We were both screaming. He threw me inside, shut the door, turned up the radio to muffle our screams, and then he looked at me and he said, "Do you believe in God?" And I said, "Of course I believe in God." And he said, "Then you're going to forgive me for what I'm about to do to you and your 2 children." And at that point, my heart sank.
Julie's abductor drove south from Homestead out into the Everglades, going deep into the brush.
He raped me several times while my daughter sat within feet of me, and he forced her to watch every minute of the beatings and the rapes. He said to her at one point, "What did your mother do that made God so mad that he hates your family this much?"
At one point when he was raping you, he made you turn around and look at your son.
Yeah.
And he said something really horrific to you.
He did. He said, every time you look in your son's eyes, I want you to remember what it feels like when I raped you. And he said that during the most profane parts of the rape. And so looking in my son's eyes, it took me forever to get over that. To take that kind of connection away from a mother and a son, that probably took me the longest to get over.
When we come back, Julie's fight for survival comes to an end and her fight for change begins, but not before her abductor makes a shocking confession.
I've done this before. I just did this 10 days ago, he said to me.
Julie Weil, a mother of 2 from Jupiter, is fighting for her life. She had no idea at the time, but her attacker had it all very carefully planned, and he was confident he would never get caught. It was mid-afternoon now on that October day in 2002. Julie Weil and her 2 children had been abducted from their church parking lot and driven deep into the brush of the Everglades. She was raped repeatedly, her kids tortured.
He did things to me that I still don't even want to admit to myself today.
After hours of abuse inside Julie's minivan, they drove back to civilization to this ATM. A knife at her daughter's throat in the back seat. Julie was instructed to take out as much money as she could and never make a signal to anyone that anything was wrong. Then, without knowing it, her abductor drove them all here, raping Julie again inside her van. What he didn't know is that Julie used to play at this playground. Her parents still live in her childhood home just across the street.
The most hopeless feeling was that I could see my mom's car in her driveway.
Julie knew she could make a run for it, but not with kids.
And I remember that feeling like help is so close.
The day grew long. Julie and her children had been hostage the entire afternoon. It was about to come to an end, though. In the same place it began, right back at her church.
He parked kind of in between some bushes so that nobody would see us. So he threw my underwear at me and he said, "Now I want you to wipe down all the buttons, the radio, the air conditioning, the windows, everything. I want you to wipe down this van because I want you to know I'm never going to be caught."
And then Julie heard a stunning admission.
"I've done this before. I just did this 10 days ago," he said to me. "I did this at a church in Pinecrest to another woman, but she didn't have, I thought she was bringing her kid back to the car with her, and she didn't. I abducted her, and she fled. But I was smart with you. I made sure you had kids with you, so you couldn't go anywhere."
He said that to you?
He said that to me. And he laid me down naked in that van in between both my kids, and he put the knife in the back of my neck, and he played with my hair, and then he would push it down into my neck, and he said, you know, to my daughter, should I kill your mom? What do you think? And of course she's upset and screaming, and he's like, I don't know what I'm gonna do. And he played with the knife, and then just like that, he just got out of the car and walked away.
Vanished, Julie remembers, but not for long. Though Julie had wiped away most of the evidence in her van, a tiny piece of the rapist's DNA was found on Julie's shirt. 6 months later, when police were called to a domestic violence scene involving suspect Michael Siebert, his DNA matched Julie's shirt and several rape cases before hers. Dubbed the daycare rapist, Siebert is now behind bars, facing 7 consecutive life terms.
It's over. It is over. And as anybody who's been through crime knows, it's never over.
Julie moved to Palm Beach County, a way to heal. But by opening up eventually, sharing her story, she's been opening doors for others.
This is it. This is the dream.
Like the Butterfly House. It's a small center at Wellington Hospital where rape victims avoid the chaos of the ER and instead are examined in a private, delicate way.
Everything can happen here. You can have your exam, you can talk to the police, you can feel confident it's being recorded, the medical care you get here is top notch, and then you can come in here and it's like a little oasis. It's, you know, beautiful decor. It's like being in your own home, and you can shower right away.
Julie has also pushed for a rape treatment center, and it's now open in the heart of Palm Beach County. But she didn't stop there.
Each time I was violently raped, he forced both of my children to watch every moment of the crime.
She took her powerful story to Washington, D.C. 2 years ago, sharing every detail with Congress. It was an attempt to change the way rape cases are handled nationwide.
I was laying naked on the floor of my van when this all happened to me, with my daughter on my left and my son on my right, and I never thought, after he left me there, that I would be able to get up and do anything. It's inconceivable to me that I could go from there to there. But what an amazing feeling. It gives a purpose to the pain that my family went through. And there's nothing more empowering than that. I got justice and I got my life back.
But Julie is the first to admit she didn't do any of this alone. Local and federal lawmakers, as well as victim advocates, have all been instrumental in her fight for change. And that fight continues today.
So you're saying there's DNA sitting on shelves across this country?
Yes.
And it's never been entered into a system?
It's never been entered into a system.
The Contact 5 investigators have learned there are nearly 400,000 DNA test kits from rape cases alone that have never been processed, and hundreds of them are right here in South Florida. We're going to have that part of our report coming up tomorrow night right here on News Channel 5 at 11.
And Julia started a website to give safety tips to women.
And I've learned so much from them. We've posted them on our website right now, WPTV.com. And Kelly, you and I were talking earlier. It's changed the way I walk to my car with my kids, what I do when I get in my car. Her story has changed my life.
Every woman needs to check those out. She is absolutely incredible.
Isn't she inspiring?
Powerful advocate for change through all of this as well. We'll look forward to tomorrow night's report about that change she is creating.
I'll be right back here with you guys.
Thanks,
Thank you, Shannon. See you then.
Serious, dangerous, defenseless. These are not the words you would like associated with your child's playground, but it's exactly how our expert described the conditions at some area playgrounds last summer. So what's changed? Contact 5 investigator Kayla Groen is back on the playground beat with the results.
We showed you playgrounds like this one and this one, so dilapidated the equipment was knocked down shortly after we started asking questions about them. So this summer, we went back to these parks, only to find little has changed.
Broken metal, cracked plastic, exposed nails.
Oh, man.
These are just a few of the problems the Contact 5 investigators discovered at area playgrounds.
It's not perfect, no. It's very serious.
Well, I'll make you a promise. Next time you come out and see us, you know, you won't know this park.
1 year later, we're back, tracking if promises made on the playground or promises kept.
What do you say to those viewers who are now going to see that, quite frankly, nothing really has been done here?
Well, I can't say that, because we have done some things.
J.D. Patrick heads up parks for the city of Belle Glade, where last summer we spotted children playing around splintered plywood and rusted metal. Minor compared to the cracked slide and exposed nail we just couldn't ignore.
Well, a year ago, the tiki hut was burnt down and it's been replaced.
As for that cracked slide, it's now sealed. But that splintered plywood?
That will be replaced. We replace that yearly. And because of the rain, wood gets weather beaten and it will wilt up.
The city's grand plans to renovate Hand Park within the year came to an unexpected halt. Turns out the grant they told us they were awarded actually went to someone else.
It's like anything else when you apply for grants, it's just hoping, that you get it. And if it gets it, it's a plus for the city.
Back east in Riviera Beach, missing parts had taken the fun out of the playground at Monroe Heights long before we showed up.
There's no defense to this.
1 year later, things look different here.
The jungle gyms and the swing sets, and they didn't replace anything. They just took everything away.
It's not the view neighbors were hoping for.
It looks like a prison.
Up the street near Cunningham Park, the feeling is much the same.
We are forgotten. We've been forgotten a long time.
This old torn-up equipment was finally removed from the park last summer.
This summer, the only change is a sign of things to come, but have yet to arrive.
And the signs will go up coming soon. Haven't seen soon yet.
When we spoke 1 year ago, you had actually said on the record that the park was going to be completed by the spring of 2013. And here we are, July 2013, and the dirt hasn't even been lifted.
We did run into some snags.
Riviera Beach Parks and Rec Director John Williams explains plans to renovate Cunningham Park stopped when the city realized part of it belongs to the school district.
This is the survey line right here.
While the two hash out those details, children here have taken to the trees and anything else they can wrap their arms around.
And then they find things to swing on. They clam the gates, to try to find somewhere to play. It's just awful.
We're 50% there. That park should be up and running probably, I want to say, February 2014.
You're going to invite us?
Yes.
News Channel 5?
Definitely. We're going to let you cut the ribbon.
February 2014, that's when we're told Cunningham Park will showcase a new playground, basketball courts, even a water feature. Of course, this grand opening is subject to change barring any unforeseen events. Meantime, no timeline on when a new playground at Monroe Heights will be installed, and Hand Park in Belle Glade will remain as is until the city finds the money for